It is a pleasure to be back here in Columbia with you all today. My name is Frederick Niedermeyer Sr., and though I've been asked to speak to you about a number of my accomplishments, I wish to start out by telling you that my family was more important to me than anything else. I married a wonderful woman I met during my college years here. Her name was Sabra, and there has been a Sabra in every generation of my family ever since, including my granddaughter Sabra, who still lives among you today. Together, my wife Sabra and I had 4 children, although one had his life taken away far too soon. I remember March 13th, 1922 was the worst day of my life when I received the phone call from St. Louis from my other son, Pierce. He had just received word from McCook Army Air Base in Ohio that my other son, Frederick Jr., an Army ace combat pilot and test pilot, he survived the war, but he had crashed that day. He was gone. He was only 25 years old. Only 8 months after that, in November of 1922, I lost my dear wife, Sabra. I had to spend the next 12 years of my life without my eldest son or my darling wife. Thank you for letting me share that with you. Nothing I ever did was as important to me as they are. I'm originally from St. Louis, born and raised, although I came to Columbia, as so many others do, for the university. I was intent on going to law school, and while I did graduate from MU Law, I never actually practiced law. You see, something happened to me during my college years that really flipped a switch for me. You see, I learned of a public auction selling off a few lots of land out by what is now Lowry Mall, but then it was just empty fields. These lots were where the Missouri bookstore would one day stand. I learned that a lot of land could be had for only a few $100s. And so before the auction, I telegraphed my father to see if he would loan me the few $100 for a down payment. Now, I purchased a lot of land that day for $800. Before that day was out, I sold it for $1,000. I returned the money to my father and pocketed a cool $200 cash profit in only a few hours' time. Yes. That is why I never practiced law. I graduated from the university in 1896, but before my time was over there, I witnessed the burning of Academic Hall in 1892. I was a freshman, in fact, and I, among other students, were able to get into the first floor, grab hold of the stuffed elephant that was on display, and carry it safely out. I took my first job in Columbia when I was offered co-ownership of the Guitar Livery Stable on Walnut Street. It was my first taste of an investment in the transportation business. Renting out horses, hacks, and buggies, it seemed like a great idea at the time. Until the rare automobiles visiting Columbia spooked my horses so bad one fell back and broke its neck, falling from a panic. Not long after that, I invested in Columbia's first automobile dealership. It's about where Booch's is today. I knew that automobiles were the future, and what's more important, your investment wouldn't scare, throw people off, and, well, cars didn't break their necks and die. In 1897, my friend, Squire Turner Gordon, and I purchased the Cottage Hotel. You now know it as the Niedermeyer Apartments. I was only 27 years old at the time, and before too long, we welcomed William Jennings Bryan for a political speech, and in June of 1902, we welcomed Mark Twain himself on the occasion that he was being given an honorary doctorate from the university. His remarks that evening generated the loudest and the longest laughter I had ever heard in my entire life, from the first minute until the very last. I will never forget him or his stay at our hotel. In 1903, I was elected mayor of Columbia. I was 33 years old. And then, I'm proud to say, we built Columbia's first municipal waterworks. In 1911, I would purchase the Cottage Hotel outright, and then I would lease it out to the University of Missouri's Home Economics Department. That was one of the best decisions I ever made. Running a hotel is tough, but leasing it out to another to care for its operation and raking in the revenue? Yes, sir, that is the way to go. I am proud to say that I served on Columbia's school board for 25 years, and I continued to purchase property in downtown Columbia, which contributed to its continual and expansive growth. I always knew that real estate couldn't be beat in a college town, and that's still true today. Many of you are familiar with the Frederick Apartments between Hith and Ninth Street. It's on the National Historic Register today. And I understand it's been in use as apartments since I built it in 1922. Bess Truman's brother was the architect. We named it Frederick Apartments in honor of my son. And there's still Army Air Force wings above the entrance today. After my son and my wife died, I put my head down and threw myself into my work. After all, I still had 3 children, and I was becoming a grandparent at the time. In fact, the Sabra that lives among you today at the ripe age of 92 was just 6 years old when I passed away. I'm exceedingly proud to say that she is perhaps the best sculptor in the entire state of Missouri. If you've ever seen her work, yes, that's right. You might have seen her work. It's the Core of Discovery, depicting Lewis and Clark's entourage right in front of the Missouri State Capitol. That's her. Later in my life, I would serve as the Progressive Party's candidate for Secretary of State in Missouri. I didn't win, but I was proud to serve under that ticket and for that position. I would depart for this other sphere in 1934. I was proud to be reunited with my wife and my eldest son. Now, before I leave, I would like to leave you with some words of wisdom. Those of you that live in this town are exceedingly fortunate. It is a magnificent city. Now, some of you may have heard that I was both a progressive in my politics as well as a doggedly determined businessman and real estate developer. There are those of you out there that feel that the two cannot be combined for the betterment of Columbia, but rest assured, I was proof that they can. Thank you, and good day.